what is good is not necessarily pleasurable. And what is pleasurable is not necessarily good. Aloha. Alex here with Aloha Speaks once again. And here we are on the proverbial eve of the 50th video. And I didn't plan it this way, that the topic is my way. It reminds me of that song, I believe it was Frank Sinatra, that sang, and I did it my way. I can even remember I was quite young, thinking, what's wrong with this picture here? It's like everyone really got into that song. Yeah, I'm doing it my way. And I was just so young. And I don't know, there was just something. It seemed off. Like, I didn't know about egotistical, that word at the time, but the parentheses today after that is easier, softer. I'll come back to that, and then there's a slash. Change others. Changing others certainly is easier to do, or at least presents itself as easier. And slash, a pill. How about a pill? That's always easier to do. And so what does easier and softer have to do with, like, my way? Because the reason is that if I did have it my way, it would be easier and softer. There's something I'm going to refer in a bit to in the, for my clarity, I do refer back to the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, because it's so, it keeps it so simple and clear. But first, there's this, like I said, there's this ego thing, right? And it's, for me, constantly inviting a barrier to my own growth, my own well-being. And I was listening, so listening, that's the second, in Malama Aloha Pono, the second segment that is so important for me and my growth. And none of this would be happening in my life. No Malama Aloha Pono, no Aloha Speaks. The growth that I'm afforded, I have to admit to my own self, without the clarity from. And I talk about that why in the road, that why. There are two whys from the beginning that I've spoken about. And the first why being the difference between the true self and the false self, and how Malama Aloha Pono addresses this why, the false self, being able to differentiate there, and that I'm not qualified, but I do go, I know where to go to that. And it's called timeless today.tv, where Prem Rawat speaks, and I listen, and I heard him talking, and I'm only going to paraphrase, but it's that ego that gets in the way of any of my listening. But here I'm wanting to learn. And he says, there's two things. There's good, and right away, there it goes, my mind. Go, obviously bad, right? Of course. Good, and I interrupt in my mind right away with bad. Good and bad. That's not what he said. He said good and pleasurable. Wait a second. Good and pleasurable. I perk right up and I'm listening. Better listen. And he goes on to say what is good is not necessarily pleasurable. And what is pleasurable is not necessarily good. He goes on from there. It is so true. And I just because somebody says it doesn't make it true for me, but I have to acknowledge when something is true for me. Definitely in the big book, just because in the AA book, just because it says it in there, we thought we could find an easier, softer way. It's saying that just before it presents the 12 steps, which is like, whoa, right? Whoa, that's a lot. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. It goes on, with all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be thorough from the very start. I have done everything to keep it easier. I've done everything I can to make it soft. Please, that's not what is good for me. It's good for me to do the harder work, to do what it takes to listen, to do the assessment. That isn't fun. But the reward is incredible. If I could, so the mind, if I could just change others, if I could change the world, then I'll be okay. The issue with that is it's impossible. Heck, I have tried over and over and over and over to do it that way, so that I don't have to do the hard thing and change me. But again, as I listen to Prem Rawat, who keeps it so simple, direct, he doesn't call it change. He calls it unchanging. And I'm like, because in changing, if I'm changing myself, the rubber has to meet the road somewhere. And the place where the rubber meets the road is in my behavior. Because if the behavior, if it's not reflected in my behavior, in my being, then that change isn't happening. And the way Prem Rawat terms it, he calls it the unchanging. And it's like, so why? Why is it unchanging? Well, one reason is because, for me, is because it takes the resistance out of it, because it is so challenging. It takes the resistance down a lot. But for me, it's because, and he talks about it too, because, and I have, in my notes, I have S with like 15 O's. So many concepts. Concept after concept after concept. Just crammed in here that have been loaded in from the way back, from all kinds of sources, coming from concepts that I've taken on as if they matter, like they count, and I'm completely inundated. And it's like, unload. No, wait, that's not me. That's not me. That's not me. And it takes effort. It takes work. It takes consciousness. And all of it is, it's revealing, it's freeing, the way Prem puts it, cutting the chains that bind me. And it's my own concepts that are binding me, holding me back from my own freedom. And the reason here on the eve of the 50th, the reason the 50th video is, it's no big deal, it's just, I don't even know that it's going to be a few days probably before I get to it. I can't say that I'm even going to be alive in a few days. The reality being that what matters, regardless of concepts, is that gift of knowledge. There's no, it's knowledge with a capital K, that gift that Prem Rawat offers and did offer. I don't have a link. I don't have an affiliate link that I'm not selling it. I'm acknowledging that reality that is in me is the location, is the residence, this heart, of something infinite, infinitely powerful, of which is the same as what is that which created everything. It's not, it can't even be comprehended. But that doesn't change that it exists. And I am able to be in touch with it. And I cannot deny that it was Prem Rawat that gave that gift of those techniques, those 4 techniques that sure, I am the only one that can take that hour per day to practice that ability. But that it's that allows me to truly differentiate between what is real and what is not. No matter what, nothing can steal my fortune, my gratitude for the preciousness of this life. Until next time, aloha.
From the Big Island of Hawaii, welcome to Aloha Speaks, home of Malama Aloha Pono by Alexander Noman, offering relief for all relationships with a focus on anger assessment and resolve.
And to close, clicking on the thumbs up icon supports Aloha Speaks, as well as clicking on the free subscribe tab. Mahalo.